And while on the whole, the Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Efriye-Akoto, has described government one village, one dam policy as an expensive venture which requires time to effectively implement. Dr. Owusu Efriye-Akoto said this in an interaction with my colleague Latif Idris at the end of the town hall meeting.
The impact of the effort in agriculture is felt in the rural areas because that's where the farms are, and they are the biggest beneficiaries. The government of the Kufuor has been subsidizing seed and fertilizer to farmers to the tune of almost around $100 million.
It's cut you short on that because the former administration, they were giving it for free. You came in and you are selling it and subsidizing it. Yes. Which one would you go for, Doc?
What you are going
free or subsidy?
Well, what you are going for is what you are doing, obviously, and you can see that it's much more effective. It's not only saying that you are going to give 100 metric tons of fertilizer free of charge. We are doing multiples of that. In Ghana, fertilizer subsidy never exceeded 140,000 metric tons. The last 3 years we've been doing upwards of 300,000 metric tons, reaching out to far more farmers than before. And of course, it's not only fertilizer. We are talking about improved seed. The strategy is to exchange the traditional seed of the farmer with improved seed, with high yielding seed. And that is working for the people of this country. And that's why in a COVID situation like this, in many countries, there's hunger, food prices are way above what they used to be. But in Ghana, you see that in the stocks of food, even now, as we speak, as we are about to harvest the first crop of the year, we still have a lot of stocks in the system, which tells you that the impact of planting for food and jobs has been excellent.
Before I let you go, Doc, let's look at the policy of one village, one dam. The essence was that this is going to help farmers in the northern region to undertake farming even within the dry season. How significant was this policy to the farmers in the northern region during the dry season? Did it actually work to plan?
Well, you know, a lot of these policies, you don't expect instant results, okay? So over the period, you know, in the savanna areas of the north, the rainfall is only 3-4 months in a year. So the rest of the year, 7-8 months, people are sitting down doing nothing.
Meanwhile, there is massive controversy, especially with concerns being raised by some elements in the opposition NDC that government was taking credit for some infrastructural project initiated by the John Dramani Mahama-led government. Meanwhile, we've also been having some reaction from the Minister for Information, Kojo Ponkruma, on the subject.
I'm sure anybody who listened to the Vice President heard the Vice President say quite clearly projects which were inherited, which have been completed. I'm sure anybody who paid attention to the presentation of the Vice President heard him clearly speak about projects that we inherited, which we have completed, and then the new projects. For example, the Pokwasi interchange, which he speaks about. He speaks clearly about the fact that it was contracted by the previous administration. What does that mean? Contracted by them as a 3-tier interchange. This administration, without adding $1 more, without increasing the cost, renegotiated it to a 4-tier interchange. So I think it's been quite clear in giving credit where credit is due, showing the projects we have completed and not abandoned, and the new projects we've done. For our colleagues, you notice that sometimes they say we have abandoned their projects. Then when you account for it and say these are projects we inherited and we have completed, they say you are not giving us enough credit. We've mentioned all of those. But beyond those ones, 17,000 other projects across the country. And the database has been provided. You, our colleagues in the media, have an opportunity to check and come and give us feedback.
How crucial would you say, as Information Minister, this town hall exercise at this crucial moment of electioneering? How is this going to play out in the days ahead, inching closer to December 7th?
Well, we believe that as an administration, we have an obligation to account to our people for what we have done. in 3.5 years. When we do that and do it well, it serves as a testament to the people who will then factor it into their decision making on whether or not we have distinguished ourselves in a first term enough to deserve a second term.
On the campaign platform, President Kofi Buah has called on the constituents of Ellembelle to retire the incumbent member of parliament for the area, Kofi Buah, in the coming parliamentary elections. He said the parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party, Kofi Buah, deserves to be rewarded with a seat this time around. Kofi Buah had served 3 terms as the parliamentary representative for the Ellembelle constituency. Is fiercely being contested by Mr. Bonzo, who is currently the district chief executive for the area. The two have been battling for the parliamentary seat since 2008. In his address to the chiefs and people of Teleku Bokazo of the Eastern Nzema traditional area, the president stressed that he would be glad to have Kwesi Bonzo elected into parliament come December 7.
The year of roads. I'm saying Ghana for United dancers and Mekano and Kanakwa. The choir so green book propaganda room. Let me quiet there. A feely quiet. I get green book. Feely quiet. Don't quiet me. 4 more for Nana. First time for Bozo.
And after the speech, the president carved the sword for the construction and the upgrading of a bitumen surfacing of a total road network of some 200 kilometers for the following communities. At least 30.2 kilometers for the Teleku Bokazo stretch, Ellembelle Junction Road, 38.16 kilometer Zintazo, Eduazo, Kwesikrom, Prestia, and Nkwanta Road, 20 kilometer Santaso, Asumase, Baseke Road, 20 kilometer Teleku Bokazo, Asasetre, and Yonasi Road, among many others. Oh, we have to take you to the Ashanti region because the New Patriotic Party says it is working towards attaining 90% of votes in the region in the December elections. The party is also bent on winning all 47 parliamentary seats in the region. The General Secretary of the NPP, John Buedu, says the party will focus on resourcing the NPP's foot soldiers and grassroots in a door-to-door campaign to achieve these feats. He was speaking to Love News at the inauguration of the NPP campaign team in Kumasi. Nana Ojima was there and has filed this report.
In 2016, NPP won over 76% votes in the Ashanti region. The gains were made at a time the NDC had targeted 1 million votes in the region. The party won 44 out of 47 seats, losing a draw to the NDC, who already had Asawase and Setre Afram Plains. John Buedu says the track record of the government is a boost for their campaign.
We are happy for today and we believe that with the target that they set for themselves, working together, we'll be able to win massively. The agenda is simple, agenda 47, and getting majority of the votes for the presidential candidate. I expect, as usual, the hard work that they've exhibited over the period, resourcing our food soldiers and grassroots to make sure that they are able to do the work that we've assigned them. And with God on our side, I believe that victory will be ours.
Meanwhile, regional leadership is pledging to adopt all means possible to deliver the targeted votes. Chairman of the campaign team, Bernard Ntwibo-Siako, says the opposition strategies doesn't pose a challenge.
New voter register.
Election begins with voter registration. And truth be told, this new voter register will favor us. It makes our target achievable because it is clean. That is why we have dubbed these elections science and data election.
90% science and data.
Good afternoon, I am Sandra Isenamapin. Let's do some business now. The Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA, has called for a swift passage of the Construction Authority Development Authority Bill. The bill has been at the consideration stage in Parliament since 2018, according to the Executive Director of GREDA, Samuel Amaibo. The bill, when passed, will regularize the activities of the industry.
But because there's no apex, supervisory body, the individual associations and the business associations are doing their best to work with their membership. And as you may be aware, the Constitution makes it clear that there's no compulsory association membership, except that there's a need for a council. And you realize also that councils can manage the affairs of professionals, but it is not easy for them to work with businesses, and so there's that difficulty on how to get everybody on board. So the industry will need a regulator. It will need a regulator for so many reasons. A few people are arguing that it is going to increase bureaucracies in the way we do businesses, but I beg to differ, because if you realize that if there is sanity anywhere and there's orderliness, there are so many things that you benefit from it. And one typical example, that 4 major benefits that I personally think that a regulator will bring to the construction industry will be to safeguard the interests of would-be owners who are interested in acquiring any form of infrastructure. So where I belong to the sector, housing sector, for example, if there is a regulator, it protects the interests of homeowners in particular. Then it also assists in transparency. When we all know what goes into the industry, who plays what, whose responsibility is what, when you have even a grievance, you know somewhere you can go and seek redress from. It brings some kind of transparency. And then when there's transparency and there's that protection of interest, then you can talk about attracting investment into the sector as well. So that when people want to put their money into the sector, they are informed and are guided by the principles that pertain in that industry. And so when they are putting in any kind of investment, the confidence level is higher.
Some poultry farmers in the Punkatamanso municipality say the negative impact of COVID-19 offers an opportunity to develop the sector with homegrown ideas. Ghana spends millions of cedis annually on importation of soya beans, among other ingredients needed to produce poultry feed. The situation is even worse for farmers who feed their birds with 100% plant protein. The trend the poultry farmers fear could spell doom for Ghana in the event of another disease outbreak. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more in this report.
Some of the farmers Joy Business visited include Stadon, Delaware, and Mensa Farms. For Mensa Farms, it had virtually closed down due to the impact of COVID-19. While sales was good for some farmers during the lockdown and its aftermath, it was a nightmare for others. Chief Executive Officer of Delaware Farms, Ewuku Edu says farmers need a stimulus package to grow more broilers locally.
Immediately, the government should look at the crop farmers, maize, then soybean. The broiler feed is about 90% maize and soybean. So if we can get cheaper maize and cheaper soybean, honestly, we can compete with any imports. And the moment the government looks at the crop side, obviously, indirectly, it will affect us. We also have a cheaper product, and the Ghanaian consumer can afford buying the chicken from here, just as much as they are paying for the imported one. Especially because the more we expand, there will be more broiler production, and when there's more broiler production, there will be more processing plants, and we will employ a lot of people, a huge number.
According to Ewuku Edu, soft loans for farmers will go a long way to help them expand and employ more.
Last 2 years, I took some loan from Exim Bank to retool my land. I needed money for equipment, and I've been paying, but not too because of the challenges on the farm. Fortunately, when this thing came, they've called me. They said they are going to renegotiate with us so that they give us 6 months more moratorium, so that we don't pay anything, for us to be able to organize well and then pay over a 3-year period, which I think is very good for us. It is extremely good, because most of the money I took, they were for equipment. But now I need operational cash, seriously. It's like what Exim is doing. You see, Exim, they are giving us special rates of interest. You see, the main commercial banks, it's too high. You can't succeed in that.
Meanwhile, Ajwa Donko of Stardon Farms says due to the lack of capacity, they are unable to meet market demands.
A week before the lockdown, that was when people bought most. So we had to sell the old layers, we had to sell the few broilers that we have, and we have to sell the eggs. So after the lockdown, people still were buying the product, they were still coming, but we didn't have as much egg as before because we sold the old layers, some of the old layers. So now we don't seem to be able to satisfy the market. Or people, if they want 20, we can only give them 10 crates. Or the people few people come, they want only 2 crates. That we try to satisfy. But when you want like 20, you get half of it.
Poultry farmers hope government will put in place policies to support the sector. Kwame Yanke's report for Joy Business.
And that's your business for now. I am Sandra Isen. I'm back at 1 with the marketplace, but after the break we have sports with a man who has love for sports.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews today. Now, Vice President Dr. Bawumia has revealed the much anticipated Creative Arts Bill has been approved by Cabinet and will soon be sent to Parliament to be passed into an act. Dr. Bawumia made this assertion at a town hall meeting in Accra Tuesday.
The creative arts is quite true. I didn't mention specifically that we've completed a theatre in Kofi Buah, and there's another one ongoing in Kumasi, because we are trying to build theatres in the key sectors, and this is. But what is also important, let me inform you that just yesterday, Cabinet approved the Creative Arts Bill, and this is going to Parliament when they come back in October. And under the Creative Arts Bill, we are setting up a Creative Arts Fund, all right, so that we are going to empower the creative arts industry. It's going to be a real great growth pole for this country. So that is good.